he and I started modding this video game. It was Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight. Old game.
What is modding?
Yeah, so you buy a video game for PC typically, and then you just start going into the files and like seeing what you can change.
Oh, okay.
And so you generally are going to find tools that help you do that. So games end up being kind of on this similar engines or platforms that run all the logic. And so today, those engines would be like the Unreal Engine, Unity, that sort of thing. Back then, it was more common to have like a proprietary engine, like a company would make their own.
Got it.
But if it was built off a similar architecture, then people would figure that out and be like, well, okay, this is how you make your own custom map or your own custom character or custom weapon or whatever. So like Half-Life was one that a lot of people modified. Quake 2 was one that people modified. So it was around the time of Quake 2. My brother and I were modding Jedi Knight. And we started with making levels. That was like the most common thing that you could do, and you could share them pretty easily with other people online and then play these in like multiplayer matches. So that was like it's really kind of an interesting culture because it's part gamer playing, and you want to like, the challenges and like beating the other person.
Right.
But then there's this whole new level of competition of like, I made the coolest, most fun, most interesting level that everyone else wants to play.
Right.
And so I think part of my mentality and what got me into art came from that. And it had to, because that was like a formative years of my life when I got into that. And so my brother and I modded this game. And it goes from like, okay, you can do levels, and then, oh, well, what if we could do our own characters? What if we do our own weapons? What if we do our own, like, logic in the game? So it's not even the same game anymore. It's just
right.
Something different, That's what they would generally call a total conversion, So there's a mod, that's like you play the game, but some things are modified. Mm-hmm. A total conversion is like, we took this game platform, we replaced everything, so you're playing something else.
That's interesting.
And
so you got into that, and in order to do these mods or these, what was the other term?
Total conversion.
The total conversions, you had to actually create some of the elements.
Yeah, and so then you just take it one step at a time. It's like, well, I can make a level. That's just like I put blocks for the floor and for the walls, and then, okay, how do I get a doorway to open? So, all that kind of stuff. And then it's like, well, I want to texture this level. I don't want it to all be bricks. Like, I want it to be sci-fi or whatever,
Right.
And so then you start learning how to paint on just flat surfaces to give the illusion of depth and texture and all that stuff. And that's where I started, and that's actually what I wanted to do when I got into the games industry. I thought I was going to be a texture artist.
That's interesting. And that's a job that's
at the time.
Do? Okay.
At the time it was. I mean, it is a specialty you could be in now, but it's more common for that to be combined with other work. And then also a lot of it is, there definitely is a job there, but a lot of that is like, it's done to a level where there's libraries you can just buy. And then
got it.
A bunch of things,
So you didn't end up in texture artist, but this kind of piqued your interest in somehow being involved in video games and some in the art part of video games, not the coding part, even though you kind of had to get into the coding a little bit, it sounds like, to get this.
I tried. Done. Yeah, and then that you differentiate coding and scripting. Scripting is where you kind of have a more custom language for the game. So certain functions have already kind of been worked out, like opening and closing a door.
Right.
So it's just like a one line rather than like a whole bunch of lines of deeper code,
Right.
So I never did any of that. I dabbled with scripting, but I can't I can't make any claim to being really a technical artist in any way, you know.